Book of Heaven Volume 2, Call of the Creature to the Order, the Place and the Purpose for which he was created by God, by the servant of God Luisa Piccarreta. Page 69-75. August 8, 1899, A resigned soul is Jesus' rest. He continues to make himself seen for just a little and almost angry with men. As much as I prayed him to pour his bitternesses into me, it was impossible, and without paying attention to what I was saying to him, he told me, resignation absorbs all that can be painful and disgusting to one's nature and renders it sweet. And since my being is peaceful and tranquil, in such a way that, no matter what may happen in heaven and on earth, it cannot receive the slightest breath of disturbance, resignation has the virtue of grafting these very virtues of mine into the soul. A resigned soul is always at rest, and not only herself, but she also allows me to rest peacefully within her. August 10, 1899, About Justice. The fruits of justice, truth and simplicity. How Jesus is wounded by simplicity. This morning, as my sweet Jesus came, he transported me outside of myself, and then he disappeared. As he left me alone, I saw as though two candelabra of fire descending from heaven, which then, dividing into many pieces, formed many lightnings and much hail that came down upon earth, causing very great torment over plants and men. The horror and the vehemence of the thunderstorm was such, that one could not even pray, and people could not manage to withdraw into their homes. Who can say how frightened I was left? So I began to pray in order to placate the Lord, and as he came back, I saw that he was carrying an iron rod in his hand, which had a ball of fire at the top. He told me, "My justice has been withheld for a long time, and with reason it wants to take revenge on the creatures, who have dared to destroy every justice within them." Ah, yes, I find no justice in man. He has counterfeited himself completely in his words, in his works and steps. Everything is deception, everything is fraud, everything is injustice, which have penetrated into his heart, in such a way that, inside and out, he is but a bilge of vices. Poor man, how you have reduced yourself! While saying this, he was swinging the rod he had in his hand, in the act of wounding man. I said to him, "Lord, what are you doing?" And he, "Do not fear. Do you see this ball of fire? It will cause fire, but will only strike the evil, the good will receive no harm." And I added, "Ah, Lord, who is good? We are all evil. I beg you not to look at us, but at your infinite mercy. In this way you will be placated for all." After this, he added, "The daughter of justice is truth. Just as I am the eternal truth, and I do not deceive, nor can I deceive, in the same way, the soul who possesses justice makes truth shine in all of her actions. Therefore, since she knows by experience the true light of truth, if someone wants to deceive her, since that light which she feels within herself is missing, she immediately recognizes the deceit. And so it happens that with this light of truth she deceives neither herself, nor her neighbor, nor can she be deceived. The fruit produced by this justice and by this truth is simplicity, which is another quality of my being simple, so much so, that I penetrate everywhere. There is nothing that can prevent me from penetrating inside of it. I penetrate into heaven and into the abysses, into good and into evil, but my being, which is most simple, by penetrating even into evil, does not get dirty, even more, it does not receive the slightest shadow. In the same way, through justice and truth, gathering this beautiful fruit of simplicity within herself, the soul penetrates into heaven, she enters into hearts to lead them to me, she penetrates into everything that is good, and if she finds herself with sinners and sees the evil that they do, she does not get dirty because, being simple, she immediately brushes it off, without receiving any harm. Simplicity is so beautiful, that my heart is wounded at one gaze alone of a simple soul. She is the admiration of angels and men. August 12, 1899, Jesus transforms her completely in himself, and teaches her charity. This morning, after he made me wait for some time, my adorable Jesus came, telling me, "My daughter, this morning I want to conform you completely to myself. I want you to think with my own mind, look with my own eyes, listen with my own ears, speak with my own tongue, operate with my own hands, walk with my own feet, and love with my own heart." After this, Jesus united his senses, mentioned above, to mine, and I saw that he was giving me his own shape. Not only this, but he gave me the grace to make use of it as he himself did. Then he continued, "Great graces am I pouring in you, make sure you keep them well. And I fear very much, O my beloved Jesus, in knowing myself all full of misery, that instead of doing good, I may make bad use of your graces. But what I fear the most is my tongue that oftentimes makes me slip in charity toward my neighbor. And Jesus, do not fear, I myself will teach you the way you must keep in speaking with your neighbor. First, when you are told something about your neighbor, cast a gaze upon yourself and observe whether you are guilty of that same defect, for in that case wanting to correct is wanting to make me indignant and to scandalize your neighbor. Second, if you see yourself free of that defect, rise then, and try to speak as I would have. In this way you will speak with my own tongue. By doing so, you will never fail in charity with your neighbor. On the contrary, with your words, you will do good to yourself and to your neighbor, and to me you will give honor and glory." August 13, 1899, Jesus assumes the image of Luisa. He continued to make himself seen this morning, for just a little, always threatening to send chastisements, and as I would go about praying him to placate himself, he would escape me like a flash. The last time he came, he made himself seen crucified. I placed myself near him to kiss his most holy wounds, doing various adorations, but while I was doing this, instead of Jesus Christ I saw my own image. I was surprised, and I said, "Lord, what am I doing? Am I doing the adorations to myself? This cannot be done." At that very instant he changed into the person of Jesus Christ, and he told me, "Do not be surprised that I have assumed your own image. If I suffer in you continuously, what is the wonder that I have assumed your very shape? Besides, is it not to make of you an image of myself that I make you suffer?" I remained all confused, and Jesus disappeared. May everything be for his glory, and may his holy name be always blessed. August 15, 1899, Charity orders all virtues. The Virgin Mary assumed into heaven. The Hail Mary together with Jesus. This morning my most sweet Jesus came all festive, carrying a bundle of most graceful flowers in his hands, and placing himself in my heart. Now he would surround his head with those flowers, now he would hold them in his hands, amusing and delighting his whole self. While he was celebrating with these flowers, and it seemed he had made a great gain, he turned to me and told me, "My beloved, this morning I have come to place in order all virtues in your heart. The other virtues may remain separate from one another, but charity binds and orders everything. Here is what I want to do in you to order charity." I said to him, "My soul and only good, how can you do this since I am so bad and full of defects and imperfections? If charity is order, aren't these defects and sins disorder that keeps my soul all messy and upside down? And Jesus, I will purify everything, and charity will put everything in order. Besides, when I let a soul participate in the pains of my passion, there cannot be grave sins, at most, some venial and voluntary defects, but my love, being fire, will consume everything that is imperfect in your soul." So it seemed that Jesus purified me and ordered all of me, then he poured as though a rivulet of honey from his heart into mine, and with that honey he watered all of my interior in such a way that everything that was in me remained orderly, united and with the mark of charity. After this, I felt I was going out of myself into the vault of the heavens, together with my loving Jesus. It seemed that everything was in feast, heaven, earth, and purgatory. All were inundated with a new joy and jubilation. Many souls were going out of purgatory and, like bolts of lightning, reached heaven in order to be present at the feast of our Queen Mama. I too pushed myself through that immense crowd of people, angels, saints and souls from purgatory which already occupied that new heaven. It was so immense, that the heavens that we see, compared to that one, seemed a little hole to me, more so, since I had the obedience of the confessor. But as I went about looking, I could see nothing but a most refulgent sun spreading its rays, which penetrated through me, in such a way as to make me become like crystal, so much so, that my little spots appeared very clearly, as well as the infinite distance that exists between creator and creature. More so, since each one of those rays had its imprint, some delineated the sanctity of God, some the purity, some the power, some the wisdom, and all the other virtues and attributes of God. So, in seeing her nothingness, her miseries and her poverty, the soul would feel annihilated, and instead of looking, she would fall down, her face to the ground, before that eternal sun which no one can face. But what is more, in order to see the feast of our Queen Mama, one had to look from within that sun, so much did the Most Holy Virgin appear to be immersed in God. In fact, in looking from other points, one could see nothing. Now, while I was in this state of annihilation before that divine Son, baby Jesus, being held in the arms of the Queen Mama, told me, "Our Mama is in heaven. To you I give the office of acting as my Mama on earth. And since my life is continuously subject to scorns, to poverty, to pains, to the abandonment of men, and my Mama, while being on earth, was my faithful companion in all of these pains, not only this, but she tried to relieve me in everything, as much as her strengths were capable of. You too, acting as my mother, will keep me faithful company in all of my pains, suffering in my place as much as you can, and where you cannot reach, you will try to give me at least a refreshment. Know, however, that I want you all intent on me. I will be jealous even of your breath, if you do not do it for me. And when I see that you are not all intent on contenting me, I will give you no peace and no rest." After this, I began to act as his Mama, but, oh, how much attention was needed to make him content. To see him content, one could not even take a glance at any other place. Now he wanted to sleep, now he wanted to drink, now he wanted to be cheered with caresses, and I had to be ready for anything he wanted. Now he would say, "My Mama, my head is hurting, oh please, relieve me," and immediately I would check his head and, finding some thorns, I would remove them, and placing my arms beneath his head I would make him rest. While I would make him rest, all of a sudden he would get up and say, "I feel a weight and a suffering at my heart, to the point that I feel I am dying. Take a look at what is in there." And observing the interior of his heart, I found all the instruments of the Passion. I removed them one by one, and I placed them in my heart. Then, seeing him relieved, I began to caress him and kiss him, and I said to him, "My soul and only treasure, you didn't even let me watch the feast of our Queen Mama, or listen to the first canticles that the angels and the saints sang as she entered paradise." And Jesus, the first canticle that they sang to my Mama was the Hail Mary, because in the Hail Mary there are the most beautiful praises, the greatest honors, and the joy which she felt in being made Mother of God is renewed. Therefore, let us recite it together to honor her, and when you come to paradise I will let you find it as if you had recited it together with the angels and the saints for the first time in heaven. So, we recited the first part of the Hail Mary together. Oh, how tender and moving it was to hail our most holy Mama together with her beloved Son. Each word he said carried an immense light, through which one could comprehend many things about the Most Holy Virgin. But who can say them all, especially because of my inability? Therefore I let them pass in silence,